Breastfeeding it has a lot of complications that all have answers. So, the very first thing I want to tell you about breastfeeding is don't cave to grandma and give the baby a bottle. Just don't do it. Call me. You have any problems? Call me. Yeah, because if grandma wasn't successfully breastfeeding her kids, then she's not going to know the right answers for you. And the answer is always, oh, the baby's hungry, give it a bottle. No, we have ways to solve that problem. And it does involve using some supplemental nursing, but not putting formula in the baby. Breast milk is so important for that baby that we can work through the problems. I mean, and that everybody has problems. Everybody has some kind of problems. The first thing that we want to talk about is how beneficial it is. Well, the baby gets all the antibodies that are in your system through your breast milk. Okay, so the biggest, nastiest flu comes through. Well, if you've been exposed to it, you're creating milk that has antibodies in it. The baby's not going to get sick. You might get sick. So that's an issue. If Dad gets sick, he gets quarantined. No bringing germs home to the baby. And so that's the first thing is don't let anybody in the house that's sick. Your sister comes over and all of her kids are sick and have snotty noses. No, sorry, come back tomorrow without them. Yeah, don't let any snotty nosed kids come in your house. Of course, we went through that whole COVID thing, and that was some serious stuff as far as what they were wanting to do as far as quarantining babies. My own son made me wear a mask into his house to see his new baby that was born in September of 2020. Yeah, it's like, I finally figured out to get a clear plastic mask because babies bond to you through your face. I mean, they look at it, you coochie coo them, and they giggle, and it's so cute, Well, if they can't see your face, they don't. And something about me doing that made them realize that what they were doing was wrong. Thank God. And he said, "Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about wearing a mask." Yeah, but and people with perfumes on them. Babies are real sensitive and real. They get bumps and stuff all the time. So grandma that wears tons of perfume, tell her to go wash it off. Yeah. And another thing is that your clothes, like all of y'all's clothes, should be washed with the same stuff you're going to wash the baby's stuff with, because the baby can have allergies to chemicals in the laundry and break out underneath its skin and stuff, but it might also get exposed to other people's laundry if you don't wash yours. If you wash yours, something different things to your laundry, and so it only shows up on its face or its arms and stuff where it's up against you. So if grandma's, I'm not going to do that. Well, here, put this blanket over you before you hold my baby up next to you, because all the women in the family want to hold that baby. Everybody loves to hold that baby. It's so sweet. But so breastfeeding you get all the antibodies. You get it's so easy. Once you overcome the difficulties, and not everybody has difficulties, but lots of us do. But you can travel. If you travel with a baby that's bottle feeding, just think of all the gear you've got to bring, bottles and sterilizers. Of course, I went to a conference in Tennessee where Anna McGaskin and all the farm midwives were. They kind of gave an award, but that girl who won CNN Hero of the Year, and I never can think of her name, but she got up and talked, and she had people had wanted to send formula to like Indonesia when the tsunami hit there, and to Jamaica when the earthquake hit there, and it was like they didn't have any water. How are they going to mix this powdered formula with contaminated water? It's make the baby sick. She said, and the water will make them sick, yes, but the formula, they actually did a study on that powdered formula and showed that babies in NICU that are being fed that formula are getting all kinds of problems because it's not sterile. how do they do that formula? They put a couple scoops in the bottle, they add a little water, they shake it. So she said, anytime anybody uses that powdered formula, it still has to be boiled for 30 minutes to kill the bacteria that's in it. Yeah, because it's like, oh, bless you. It's like having powdered milk or even hot chocolate or something, you know, and you just leave it in this can and it gets bacteria growing in it. Yeah, so be real careful about that. And we had a pediatric dentist that comes and speaks to our conferences. I put on a conference in here, usually about 26 midwives in here. Yeah. And he said, first thing is that a breastfed baby is prettier and has fewer sinus problems because the roof of the mouth of a baby is just the perfect arch to where all of your all your cheeks and everything just are formed just right. It shapes the baby. If you bottle feed versus breastfeeding, the bottle will make the baby's palate be real arched. Yeah, and thus they'll have more sinus problems and just all kinds of problems. And the breastfeeding really makes for a prettier baby.
Their skin is prettier and softer too.
Yeah. The formula leaves like little clumpy particles under their skin where the breast milk does
And
not.
the fat looks different. A fat formula baby looks different than a fat breast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so there's all kinds of benefits. Cost. Have you priced the cost of formula? What's it going for now?
It's like $30 around.
For one of
Between
those?
30 and 45 for a
Depending on the brand, yeah. So
Yeah.
some of the expensive brands that some families have to switch to because of an allergy are $60 to $75 a can.
For how
not
many-
in the big can.
For how many days?
That lasts about 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we-
Yeah.
And
like
five
that's
5 days is like pushing it.
Yeah.
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 So breastfeeding saves money, big time.
It's
Big
insane.
time.
That's why she gets a new washing machine.
Yeah. For every baby that the mama nurses, she deserves a new appliance. Yeah.
And you're still getting hard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So how are we gonna do this? Baby cries, you stick it on the tip.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easy answer. That's all you gotta do. The first month of the baby's life, everything is about weight gain. I mean, that's all people want to talk about is weight gain, what's the baby gain? Okay. So if you're putting the baby on a schedule, and some people do like a 3 or 4 hour schedule, then it's not gonna have a good weight gain. Whenever the baby cries, stick a tip in its mouth. I mean, you're holding that thing, you know, and life is easy when you're just like this. That's all you do, just sit and maybe read. Maybe that's your job to do the first month. Read those child raising books.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't drop them on the head.
Yeah. My sister fell asleep and dropped her baby.
Oh no.
Sitting up. She always got up to nurse them, sitting in the rocking chair in the baby's room because she's an idiot. But yeah, so she also put the baby car seats 50 years ago were just these little carrier things, you know. But she had 4 boys in 4 years trying to get a girl, and she would put the baby in this little carrier thing and put it on the hood of the car while she's strapping the other kids in, and it felt.
Ooh.
Are they okay as adults?
Yes. He has some pretty serious dyslexia, but I don't think it's caused by that. So when we're nursing, they go to the breast hungry, so they're really, then they kind of start slowing down, you know, they fall asleep real easy. If you squeeze your breast, really pretty much just anyway, it'll make a little more milk come down, and they'll go, oh yeah, I went through, don't take it away from me. Because I mean, when you take it away from them, you'll cry. You don't just pull the baby off the breast, because it'll pull a little nipple with it. You stick your little finger in there and break the suction. she'll only do it once. You don't realize. Okay, so in the beginning, we nurse one side for a while, and then we nurse the other side for a while. I mean, we used to teach this whole thing about, 10 minutes this side, finish on that side, 10 minutes on this side, finish on that side. Well, we tell a different story now, that really what we want to move up to, in the beginning you have to do that two sides, otherwise you'll be in pain. Because your milk's gonna come in, lots of milk, and you're gonna have to take a little pressure off of both of them to start with. But as soon as you can, which is about 2 weeks,
Yeah, it starts,
You
or
wanna
even a
get-
little before it may start regulating.
you want to get to where you nurse one side every 2 hours. So in a 2 hour period, you only nurse that side. The next 2 hours, you nurse this side. If the baby wants to nurse every hour, which my son did because he had such allergies and he was throwing up all the time and needed to nurse more often, if you want to nurse every hour, then you nurse this one twice. That way they get more hind milk, and hind milk is where the fat is. And so you get a fatter baby, everything's about weight gain, you get a fatter baby if you get that hind milk to the baby. Yes, how long should they nurse? Depends on how long they nurse. So some babies will nurse every 20 minutes for 5 minutes. You don't want to do that. That's exhausting. Most will nurse every 2 hours for 15 to 20 minutes. But some babies are real efficient nursers and they can be done in 10 minutes. That's a little odd, but some do that. So the norm during the day is to feed them every 2 hours, and then they'll hopefully during the nighttime they'll go every 3 hours. Okay? And if they cluster feed, someone will go, oh, grandma's really going to say to you, oh, baby's nursing so just continuously and you must not have any milk. No, the baby's cluster feeding so that it'll sleep better in the night. So great thing. Let that baby nurse from 8 to 10 at night. Then maybe sleep a little better in the night.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. My son slept through the night the first night he was born. What? Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I woke up in the morning terrified. I was afraid he died. Oh. And I was already a midwife. Yeah. I guarantee you, everybody, when the baby's laying there sleeping, they hardly move their chest at all. I mean, they have real, like, 40 is a good respiratory rate. 40 breaths per minute is a good respiratory rate for a baby. And so you hardly see them, and they're barely moving their chest at all. And you wake up and you go, is baby okay? Is baby okay? And you're real prone to, let them sleep. Good trick. Wet your finger. Put it in their nose. You'll feel it. The little respiratory rate. Or watch their chest. It does move so slowly though. You think, oh, I'm just put my hand on his chest. No, don't do that either. Yeah. One of the good things about this baby that slept through the night, I was already a midwife, so I knew that if the baby wasn't breathing, it would be blue. No, he looks okay. All right, leave him alone. Slept through the night the first night he was born. So when he woke up, he was really ready to nurse. Yeah, about 6 in the morning he'd wake up. He slept from like 10 to 6. I mean, great. Problems with that, I got periods back in 6 weeks. Oh, yeah. My first baby nursed for 8 months, and I got my periods back. No, my first baby nursed for 18 months, and I got my periods back at 8 months. My second baby nursed every hour for 3 years. Every hour of the first year, and really 2 hours. Third year, he only nursed for nap. My father was from Sicily, and he nursed till he was 6.
Oh.
The way to wean a baby was when you got pregnant with your next baby, you made the old baby stop nursing. Well, his sister's 5 years younger than him.
Wow.
And he nursed till he was 6. Yeah. But so this one only nursed till he was 3. And I told him, I said, now Yates, you're gonna have your birthday, you're gonna be a big boy. And when you get to be a big boy, only babies baby's nursed, so when you get to be a big boy, we're not gonna nurse anymore. Yes, Mama. And that was it. It's a great way to wean, I tell you. It may be unique. Yes, Mama.
Oh.
And he did, once he wanted to do that. Yeah, so, nurse, the easiest way to breastfeed is to not really keep a clock on it. You know, you wanna nurse to the baby's needs. And the baby will give you signals to when it's hungry. It'll lick its lips, baby starts doing that, it'll cry, you know. It doesn't take long, about a week for sure, where you know the baby's cries. They will have a specific cry for I'm hungry, I'm tired, something's hurting me, change my diaper. I mean, they will have a specific cry, just the sound that they make in that cry, where you'll read it and you'll know exactly when the baby. Plus, you'll be real in tune to the baby because you got baby attached to you for 9 months inside. They're gonna be attached to you for about 9 months outside. Yeah, you can be holding that baby a lot. Yeah, and so you'll know, oh, it's time for him to there you go with those contractions. That it's time for him to change. There's even a thing called elimination communication. Have y'all heard of that?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I've seen it work. I've had maybe 4 clients is all, but one of my students did it, and that girl, for her 6-week checkup, the mama said, oh, just a minute, let me take the baby in here. And she went into the bathroom, and she sits on the toilet backwards, and she just holds the baby like that in peace. Yeah, it's amazing. I saw grandma do that. The mother had some complications. The grandma was raising this brand new baby, but she was able to do that. And yeah, one of my students did that too. Yeah, and she put one of those swaddles on the baby and laid it down, and it went to sleep.
I don't know what that life
I
was
don't know
like.
what that was either.
None of my 3 did that.
Mine all had to nurse to sleep.
Mine too.
And that's what, it's an easy way to get them to sleep. You just nurse them and fall asleep.
One of the big goals of breastfeeding too is that you're so in tune with those cues, which a cue is honestly like everything. That they don't ever get to the point of crying, frustrated, needing to nurse, where it's hard to latch them, and then they're mad and they're burning calories crying. Because if they wake up or even sleeping and turn their head, they're wanting the boob.
They do little bird tricks too.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much everything is a feeding cue that a newborn does, and you want to offer it to them before they get frustrated.
Now, sometimes there's enough of difficulties in breastfeeding that they'll go to the breast, and that will frustrate them, and they'll cry there. But a couple things. When your milk first comes in, you will feel like Dolly Parton. You will have breasts out to here that kind of come up to here. You'll have these breasts. Literally.
Yes.
I'm not joking. Yeah, even the flattest women end up with these honkers. And sometimes when the baby goes to the breast, that milk just kind of shoots out, and they pull back and go, oh!
They're choking.
God thought we all were supposed to have triplets. Isn't that what it's be fruitful and multiply, and have triplets. They had lots of triplets in the Bible days. That was the thing, and lots of twins. Well, we don't do that anymore, but we still make enough milk for it. Yeah. So, and that's what really happens is about the night of the 3rd day is when the milk comes in. So the night of the 3rd day. So the night of the 3rd day, that evening, the baby will do some serious cluster feeding. Yeah, and you're like, oh, my milk is, my milk's all drying up, and well, till you wake up in the night. Oh my gosh, you wake up and go, where's the baby? I need it to nurse. Nursing is a 2-way street. It's not just the baby that needs it from you. You need it from the baby. The baby needs to take that stuff off of me. Yeah. If you wake up in the middle of the night and the baby's out, so you just get the baby wake up, you can lean over, turn the sink on and lean over it, and that milk will just shoot out. Yeah, it's amazing. Take a hot shower, that helps a whole lot. But these babies, so we nurse one side and then we nurse the other side. When you, a lot of women are concerned about having enough milk, and so we use this cute little thing. Be sure to get one of these. This is the Hawkins. I think it's on my list. This is so important that I want everybody to have one. And while you're nursing this side, you put this thing on and you fill it up with milk, and you freeze it. You have to have some kind of bags or bottles or something. Glass jars work perfectly. But my daughter-in-law found these because she went back to work at, I think, 8 months and nursed. She continued to pump for 3 years. And she did a real good job with that baby. But this is silicone, and it's a great little thing. It's lightweight, so she had a little freezer thing, little lunch bag kind of thing that she took to work with. And those look real good. But yeah, so you can use this. The way to use this is not to. You have to roll it back, and then you put it on. Okay, and it'll stick right on. Yeah. Some of the girls don't get that figured out, but that works real good. It's called a haka. It's from New Zealand.
Oh, that's a dog.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
That's so weird.
There are knockoffs. This one is the bumblebee. Or that's a ladybug.
Ladybug.
Lady-
I think it's still the Haka brand. It's just
It
a
is.
different.
Yeah, it's just a little bit different. And what's the difference in them?
Well, for some people, including like myself, the breast shape makes it hard for the Haka to stay on. My
So this
Haka
works
would
better?
never stay on me. I had to use those.
That worked better. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's the little ladybug.
And then also the ladybug can kind of do what the milk savers do too, in helping the nipple pull out if they're flat or inverted.
I encourage the girls. Okay, so this milk is going to be tailor-made to the baby after a while. In the beginning, you're going to have enough for triplets, and so you're going to be like leaking down your clothes. It's going to be in your bra, everything.
We're gonna smell like milk.
So they make these. These are not the ones I like. They make these breast pads to go in your bra, but these have a plastic liner in them. These and they feel awful. I can't touch polyester material. I can't touch those. That's the same thing like polyester material. But they make them that are cloth, a little flannel. And that's the better one to use. These that have that plastic liner in them can make your breast get real inflamed because it holds the heat in it, holds the water there, the milk there. So I do not recommend those. But as you can see, all this stuff is Medela, Lancinol, most of it's Lancinols. And they're real good about coming to conventions and giving away stuff. So that's why I have all this stuff. Here, let me take this for childbirth class. Okay, so then there's the cloth one. I think I have tons and tons of these disposable nursing pads. No, thank you. Okay, if you have problems, let's talk about problems. Problems that do happen is you get a plugged duct. So you slept funny and you had this arm up here and that kind of got, or you had a tight bra that kind of pulled on part of your breast, or you get up and do too much too fast. That's a third week. Most common time that I see plug ducts, most mamas are going to be real good about staying down for 2 weeks. Now come that third week, they're ready to get something done. And so they're up and doing too much, and maybe they're putting the baby off a little bit to breastfeed, or maybe they're just getting too tired, and they just get this. You have got no. Looks like a bug on your leg.
Yes.
It
I
is
saw
a
it
bug
flying.
on your leg.
What is it?
Oh, it was blind as well.
Okay.
That's what this warm weather will do for us. But so this hot spot. This. Boy, that hurts to touch. Oh, and it's like red and inflamed, and oh, I feel like I have the flu. You know, I got Mastitis, no, mastitis requires the presence of staph. Staph is what mastitis is. This is just a plugged duct, you know, you got those glands where all that milk's coming down and one gets clogged up and it collects and it backs up, and you know that scripture that says if one part of the body hurts, the whole body hurts. Well, that's what this is. You get the flu feeling from temperature and everything. And they'll call me and oh, this is terrible. Crawl in bed and stay there till it's gone. Nurse that side first. Yeah. They're now saying put cold on it. I still say put hot on it while you're nursing and then cold after that. And they even make,
There's all kinds of products.
yes, this cute little thing that comes with its own little carrying case. That is an ice pack, or it can be a whole hot pack, just for your breast. You know, and it doesn't do it on your nipple. Okay, that's a good thing to have. Put that on your. Oh, this is even shaped that way. Isn't that cute? Cute. All the products that they make.
The two things that I've seen that have helped clogs the most, especially with clients here of late, has been putting some of the hot, doing the hot and cold, and then either like a massage gun, people have those, gently, not crazily, but putting it on the clog and it'll help break it apart. Or the dangle feeding. The dangle feeding works like every time.
Leaning over, feeding the baby, so it puts pressure, it helps it to drop.
And if your baby's not of the age to be able to latch while you're dangling, then sometimes you got to get creative and the husbands have to help.
Breast milk really tastes good. But another thing you can do is just really massage it with your hand too. Just put a little push behind that soda. I mean, because it's just a little, just pop through. Plugged duct is what and I don't ever use the word mastitis because it's not mastitis. I've had a girl who had mastitis. And she had a real bad tear, and I sent her off to the hospital to be repaired. And she came home. They kept her overnight, and she came home and got exposed to some germs, and that it was terrible. Yeah. And they went in and they lanced it and packed it. Yeah, and then of course. Bad news. Yeah, mastitis is not something we see, but once in 40 years is what I've seen. Once that I know of. Somebody all right, baby. I've got things to do down here. Let's talk about. Here they are. The size of the baby's stomach. Okay. When a baby is born, its stomach is that big. What? How many sucks does it need to take to fill that? Wow. 3, 5, maybe?
Not much.
How much do they get per suck? Do we know?
And colostrum's so nutritional. That's why they don't have to do it for very long at all, and then they just go to bed.
Suck, and then it's done. Then, okay, what's this one? It's 2 weeks, 2 days. No, this is the size. I think this one's 2 days, and this one's 2 weeks. So its stomach grows pretty quick, but it starts out that way. Yeah. So don't worry about maybe not getting enough to eat. It doesn't need much. And it will tell you when it does need more. They're real good about communicating. In the beginning, sometimes when your nipples are so, in the beginning the baby can latch on. And then when that milk comes in, it's so just like a balloon. You just blow up. Really and truly. And so this is a little nipple sucker outer. Yeah, it's just a tiny little thing. Surely doesn't cost much. I don't know. I got it at a conference. And you just pull that out, and it helps you to establish a nipple for the baby to latch onto. Because they go to that balloon, and how do you suck a balloon? You don't very good. They can't suck it into their mouth. A full balloon, not one that you can punch holes in. Punch. Yeah. So that's just a little nipple sucker outer. Some women have my daughter in particular had nipple problems. When does the baby get that big? Doesn't. I'm really curious. My daughter had inverted nipples. Who was I telling that today? Yeah.
Oh, not today.
Yeah.
That was me.
She nursed that baby, and when the baby pulled off, it squirted blood all over the baby. Yeah. And I told her, I don't know how it came out, because I mean, these are not things you talk to your mother, even if your mother is a midwife, but obviously we did. I knew that she had inverted nipples. She had one that was actually inverted and one that was flat. So once she was breastfeeding, it was a problem to breastfeed. But this has, see, it's got a little hole on one side, and you just put that inside of your bra, and it collects. It'll collect a few little drops, but not much. But it makes your nipples start sticking out then. Yeah, and it looked bad underneath her clothes, so she didn't want to do it. She did for the second baby. Yeah, it was that first baby. She ended up only nursing one side of that first baby, so she just the other side went completely flat down, so she had to put some kind of something in there so she didn't look too funny. It was an issue, yeah. But that's called a nipple shell, not to be confused with the nipple shield, which is what this is. At the hospital, anytime you have any breastfeeding problems, the nurse will say, oh, here, use this. This solves all problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what it does is it creates problems of its own. So if the baby is tongue-tied, we test the babies for tongue-tie. And that's just like their frenulum, like underneath the tongue, is too tight, so they can't. When they're nursing, they have to strip the breast. They don't just or do this thing with their tongue. And if that's real restricted, then they can't do that. And so your breast just gets so sore. And I have recommended this twice, maybe 3 times, to women who are having problems. That's how it's really not a thing that we like to recommend a lot, because when they're using it, then your milk will take a hit. You won't produce as much milk because you're just not getting the same tactile stimulation from the baby nursing. But it's just something that it sticks on there. The problem with it is you have, lots of problems with it, but you have to find it. Where is it? Oh, it's only got dirty, look, we got to wash it. The baby's crying, the baby's ready to eat, Yeah. But it's better than not being able to nurse. That we do recommend that sometimes. And
It's helpful when you're waiting on a tongue revision, but stop it as soon as you can.
some of these doctors that do, it's the pediatric dentists who do the revisions, and they go in with a laser, and they do it at children's now too. Yeah, you're the one who told us that. Yeah. They go in with a laser and underneath their tongue. There's like.
It don't even take that long, you
Yeah,
It's
it's
like-
done. Yeah. Well, I think Harvard goes slow, so it takes a little bit longer. But they do it under the tongue. They can have a restriction over here on the side of their mouth. They can have this right here. Really. You see people that have a real separation in their front teeth. That's from a tongue tie. My oldest granddaughter. That's why they had so much problems breastfeeding. Is that she definitely had a restriction there. She still has a big separation.
Lip tie.
Yeah. And is that it? Under the tongue, on the 2 sides, here, on the two. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And so as soon as you get that corrected, and then we'll test it, and I'll say, oh yeah, this is real bad, or oh, it maybe has a little bit of a restriction, but let's see how the breastfeeding goes. We just go by symptoms, really. If the baby nurses just fine and you're not squirting blood like my daughter was, then it's okay to just keep going. Or if the baby's not gaining weight good, that's one. Sometimes we say, okay, so it didn't seem to be a problem, but the baby's not gaining, so let's get it evaluated. And you can go get it evaluated. I don't think they charge for an evaluation. But
I
it's
think
like,
at Forrester they do.
yeah, it's like $300 per spot.
Wow.
Yeah. A bit of
And
an
that's a
issue.
cheaper one.
If you have our kids at Children's Hospital, our kids will cover it at Children's Hospital if you have a pediatrician recommendation.
Pediatrician
My
recommendation.
pediatrician is the one that finally caught it on my son.
I wonder if the
8%.
pediatric dentist could recommend it. Sure. Yeah, but that would be contraindicated for their business.
Mhm.
So they probably wouldn't, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But, yeah, so, but it's worth it. I mean, the only thing about Forrester in Conway is you have to really push him to do it. He's just really, he'll do an evaluation. He said, well, it's not that bad. Let's see how it gets. You know, tell him Deb said, go ahead and do it. and do it good. I mean, because sometimes he'll do just a little bit, and then now they'll have to go back and have it done again. You know, so that's a bit of an issue. There's those. Do we already have that? I have two of those. No, that's that. That's that. That's that. We've seen that. We've seen that. We've seen that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the supplemental immersion system. If baby ends up just not being able to suck, they just, mama's hurting too bad to tolerate it anymore. I've tried, and the baby's just, it just hurts too much, I just can't do it. What we get you to do is to pump, preferably pump while you're nursing the baby, and then you can give it, you can use a syringe to squirt that baby in that milk in that baby's mouth. You can, when this is filled up, you can give it a little milk to the baby. You nurse the baby, you put the baby to the breast first and nurse the breast, and then supplement a little bit if the baby's still crying and can't see, or if it's not gaining weight good. You know, I've had some that the baby's weight gain was just horrible. We had to do something because babies, weight gain is important. They want them back to their birth weight by 2 weeks. So a lot of times I go back at 2 days and they gained weight.
Mhm.
You know, that's the norm for us. But there are some, and you know, it's usually first timers, and it's just not their fault at all. It's just, you know, when the baby's mouth is just not good, or you know, they have faulty equipment, like my daughter.
Or bad advice from support from those around them. Just throwing that out there.
Bad advice from those around you.
You have Deb use her.
Yeah, yeah. Politely listen to grandma and say thank you. I'll call my midwife.
And don't even have bottles in the house because at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Don't have formula in the house at all.
Okay.
Because you'll use it at 2 o'clock in the morning, and when she's crying, you'll go get it and say, here, use this now, we'll figure it out in the morning.
Yeah. As someone who needed a Deb because everything went wrong, called it.
Yeah. Even in the middle of the night, that's fine. That's part of my job. Once you give them formula, your milk supply's on its way down. I mean, that first bottle is milk that they should have been getting out of your breast, and it's supply and demand. The more the baby suckles, the more you'll make. The less the baby suckles, the less you'll make. Yeah. And they'll go through normal growth spurts. Like at 2 months, you'll think, oh, you know, the baby's just nursing all day, you know, for 2 days in a row. Well, good. Your milk supply needed to go up because the baby's going to go through a growth spurt. Yeah, so that's not an uncommon thing to do.
And around 8 weeks or so, a lot of moms will be like, I can't feel it anymore. I must have disappeared. My milk's went away. I gave them a bottle of formula, and because they're not there anymore. But your milk regulates and learns how much your baby needs, so you won't feel as engorged and full all the time.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry that the baby's not getting milk.
Yeah, that's a real common thing to happen. But even within one feeding, the milk changes specifically for your baby. So, like, the fore milk will be more watery, and the hind milk will have more fat, and the nutrient, and that changes from week to week, feeding to feeding, depending on what the baby needs. Our bodies just regulate accordingly. I was involved in a study done at Parkland Hospital. I lived in Dallas when I had my babies, and the Red Cross would come and pick up the milk that we had pumped. would pump milk just to send off to these premature babies. They were doing a study on the effects of breastfeeding on premature babies. So these 1 pound babies that are in the hospital, they were coming and getting our milk and giving it to the babies. And they found that indeed those babies thrived much better if they were on breast milk than on formula, because now we know that formula's got contaminants in it. But what they found was that that own baby's mother's breast milk was much better for that baby than somebody else's. Donor milk was good, but mama's milk was best because it changed. If that baby was born at 28 weeks, 32 weeks, mama's milk wasn't the same as my milk. Here I'm pumping my milk to give to that little baby, but if mama's pumping her milk and giving it to that baby's going to thrive on it better because our fat content of everybody's milk is just so different. I mean, and think about if you were to supplement the baby with cow's milk. Well, a baby calf grows 900 pounds in the first year. We don't want our babies growing that big. And a real interesting thing, and some of our, I saw a baby, how old was that baby? 6 months old? And this big baby, he was so chubby and healthy, and you just want to squeeze his little cheeks. They came because he had a little bit of a rash. Mom was worried about a rash, and she'd had a kid to have convulsion before. And she was just all worried, I said, oh, that's real normal. But what was I talking about?
Cow's milk. Fat content.
Oh, so breast milk though builds intercellular fat, not fat cells. So it's the perfect milk for baby. Yeah, intercellular fat. When that baby first starts crawling, he's gonna burn off all that fat. He's gonna be just a cute little toddler boy. When he starts walking, it's like, we gotta give him some more food because he's getting thin now. But so it really tailors specifically to your baby.
And when they're nursing at the breast, that saliva exchange.
Tell me about that.
Well, when the baby's nursing, you have little bitty holes in your nipple that as the baby is sucking in the milk, your nipple is taking in their saliva to particularly specifically make the milk for the next feeds. So a lot of moms too, like my sister, she had a fever when my niece was 3 weeks old, and she was like, do I need to give Brentley to Tanner and pump for her and give it to him and seclude myself? And I'm like, the best thing you can do for her is keep her on you, do as much skin to skin and nurse with her, and then your milk will make those antibodies specifically for your sickness and what she's being exposed to.
Yeah, so even if you're really sick, it's still the best thing to do is to breastfeed that baby. Even if you drink some wine, alcohol is okay, especially wine, because as the wine gets into your system and goes through your stomach and then into your bloodstream and then finally gets into your milk, it's already turned into vinegar. It's going to affect the taste of your milk. Everything you eat is going to affect the taste of your milk, but it's not, you don't have to worry. Now, if you get drunk, then maybe you shouldn't sleep with your baby. You might roll over on it. But any other time, co-sleeping is the best thing, especially for a woman who's going to be going back to work. You sleep with that baby, and it helps. The more skin-to-skin contact you have with the baby, the more milk you're going to make. It's just going to help you with your milk supply. It's just going to help you with your bonding. It's just going to do all kinds of wonderful things. Yeah, and especially if you're going to work, you don't need to be going and getting the baby and my sister sitting in the baby's room in the rocking chair and dropping it. You fall asleep. You're so tired. You fall asleep.
Dream feeding is the best.
Say again?
Dream feeding.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I feel like helped me get more sleep when my babies were little is I put them to bed in our bed and then go hang out with my husband for a little bit. And then once we slipped into bed and the baby's still sleeping, nurse for a little bit while they're sleeping, and then it gives you, a couple more hours before they're waking you up.
Yeah. They pretty much will wake up every 3 hours in the night, which we are not used to waking up like that. So it just makes us so tired. It's so there's a lot of obstacles to be overcome, but it's well worth it. When you get to 6 weeks and everything's just so easy with that baby, and the baby's gained so good, it's well worth it. Well worth it. Yeah. What else? Weaning. So if we get to 3 years old and tell the kid who can't nurse anymore, okay, Mom. That's probably going to be not the norm. But okay, I'm a midwife, right? I hung up with all these midwife kind of people. They all prolong. I had a friend who nursed a baby for 5 years, and she would let her nurse out in public. Mine only nursed at home after it got old enough to walk around. But you're going to eventually start feeding the kid other foods, and you really don't want to feed them other things until they can feed themselves. This spoon feeding puree, what you feed them has got to be better than what you're substituting for. So if it's got better quality nutrients for the baby than your breast milk, give it to them. Not this puree stuff, because all the cooking, especially with jars of baby food, there's no nutrients left in there once it's canned.
Egg yolk and avocado.
Egg yolk and avocado, yeah. So avocado was my kid's first food because we ate out of Mexican food. We ate Mexican food a lot. We lived in Dallas. Where'd you go to eat? You went to eat Mexican food. But I just asked them, do you have a whole avocado back there? Yes, please bring it to me, and chop it up into little pieces, and you put it on their little tray, and they play with it and smash it and get it in their hair. And you get to have a nice dinner with your husband while they're playing all this. Yeah.
Any food before, any real table food before the age of 1 is just for fun. And if they eat it, great. If they don't.
Yeah, and like she said, eggs, avocados. You have to be careful about grapes. You have to be real careful about no raw carrots. Those little carrots have got to be cooked. No Vienna sausages.
Yeah,
Let's just not do those processed meats anyway.
No processed foods for those babies. Yeah, remember, it's got to be a better quality than what you're substituting for. Okay? But people do give those little beanie weenie things to kids, and they get stuck in their throat.
Perfect.
Carrots will do that too.
I don't even do that with my toddler, and he squishes everything.
Yeah, but it's real. You have to be real careful with those little foods. But that avocado, oh my goodness.
And egg yolk, watching a kid eat egg yolk is the funniest thing you'll ever see.
Little peas. Oh, you can get them the frozen peas. Get them just pull them out of the freezer. You put it on their tray, and they play around in it. They finally get and they're starting to get those teeth in. That feels so good on their little teeth. Babies get this movement right at the same time that they get their teeth. And at that time, they get the enzymes to digest food. They did not have enzymes to digest food before they can feed themselves.
And that's a different age for every baby. When
Exactly.
they feed themselves, because mine was feeding himself intentionally, picking up, putting it in the mouth at 6 months.
Yeah.
But I had extreme breastfeeding issues, so he was hungry. So.
Yeah. So 6 to 7 months is usually when they start getting their teeth. Yeah, 7.5 for sure. They'll have their teeth, and so that's a good time. And I learned to just little ice chips. By the time they play with it, it's all melted anyway. They're not going to choke on it, even if they got a good sized piece in their throat. It's going to melt. Yeah, work just fine. Yeah. Good. You have to wean them just from one feeding at a time. You can't go cold turkey. Somebody said, well, we just got off the trip we got a cruise given to us, and I'm not going to take the baby with me. I said, well, you've got to wean that baby over a period of time. Otherwise, you will find out how much milk you're making all of a sudden. You think the baby's not taking much in. Well, you be away from the baby for a day, and you'll find out how much the baby's. And very specifically, it comes in at specific times, because with my son, he stayed with grandma when I went off to birth, and I was fine all night long, because he didn't wake up in the night. Come about 6 o'clock in the morning, there was the milk. Yeah, when I'd be gone at the birth, it was crazy. And wonderful story about, honey, you keep the baby, I'm gonna run to the store, I need to get out. I'll just run to the store and get 1 or 2 things, and I'll be home real quick, and I just nursed you, you'll be fine. You're standing in line ready to pay, and your milk comes in. So your milk comes in, and you're standing in line, what are you gonna do? You're gonna use your hands and pull back on it. Just pressing that breast backwards will stop that flow from coming in. But what you find out is, then you get the text, hurry, the baby was awake and crying. Your milk came in because the baby was awake at home.
It's a for real thing. It's crazy.
It sounds crazy, but that's how attached you are. You know that the baby DNA gets in your system, and you'll carry it the rest of your life. You carry a little piece of all your children with you. Yeah. And in particular, in the medulla oblongata is where that DNA settles. So Mama does have eyes in the back of her head. What else about weaning? Oh, you want so you want to give up one feeding, like lunch. Okay, I'm gonna start feeding the baby avocado for lunch. You want to just use avocado for a week. Don't substitute. You do back and forth on different foods. You'll find out what allergies the baby has that way. If you give it corn one day and peas the next day, and avocado the next day, and then now on about the 6th day, the baby has this big allergy thing going on. You won't know what it was allergic to. But if you use just one new food a week, then you'll figure out what it's allergic to. Stay away from the allergy foods. Start off with vegetables. Or like the avocado is real high fat, real good healthy fat, so that's a good thing. But grains and things like that are just too allergy prone, so stay away from them. Corn, that's an allergy. Of course, it's great. Yeah. And then pick another meal. Supper. So now for supper this week, I'm going to start giving the baby this. So now you're giving it 2 things a week, and wean the baby off the breast that way, slowly. Faster than one feeding per week added in. Yeah, and that's a lot better that way, and you won't have engorgement. You can go back to full engorgement if you wean the baby too fast. What else? That's about it.
If you have problems, let us know. Don't be thinking that you're crazy and that you're gonna bother anybody.
I hate that word. Don't ever use that word to me. I didn't want to bother you. It bothers me for you to not bother me.
What about
Or if
latching?
you're
What about what?
What about like how to latch? Like how to get baby to latch?
Yeah, pretty much they just do it themselves.
Okay.
You just hold the baby to the breast. Now, there are different holds, so you can, that's what I have, baby. You can, and depending on how they're born, sometimes they're real prone to one direction versus the other. I still look at this, I turn my head real easy that way, but this is just a little harder. So babies sometimes will just latch. All you have to do is just put the baby up there, and most of the time they'll just latch on. Yeah.
Flat against you is key, as you're seeing her do with that baby.
Yeah.
belly to belly.
Yeah.
Belly to belly, yeah, none of this. We don't want to see baby's belly, belly to belly. Otherwise, if baby is rolling out like this, see how its face is rolling? It's taking your nipple with it. Yeah, you want that nipple not to be stretched like that, so belly to belly.
Also, it's a lot harder. Like, everybody facing forward, swallow. And it's very easy. Now turn your head all the way to the side and swallow.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And it makes the baby get very frustrated.
Well, that's weird. Yeah, so we don't want to be doing that. Yeah. So, but sometimes when you nurse this side, now the baby doesn't do as good. You know, why is it? So it can be that their neck just doesn't feel good that way, and so you nurse on this side, in yours like this, football hold. Yeah, yeah.
It's surprisingly comfortable.
And then take him to the chiropractor.
And that's the reason you had to do that, was because baby's milk is restricted. Here's what I do.
Yeah.
I just turn myself
I did it to a baby the other day.
You give them a little bit, and it does their neck like that, and they relax it. You can see them just kind of relax. Yeah, it's a real good way to save yourself a trip to the chiropractor. But chiropractor, especially Tracy Kiernan is the one ever since I saw her adjust a baby's neck, I just went, she is the one to go to. She really is good with those babies. She's so gentle with them, and they go, you know, and another thing that we can do at home is we can hold the baby's head, you know, right here where your head is attached to your neck. That's called the atlas. And you can just hold your fingers there and let the baby's head kind of, you know, relax and go back. And that helps a whole lot too. Yeah. But yeah, so here and here, that's a football hold. Pitch pass. Yeah. I had one girl, my CPA's wife, who had such big breasts that she nursed her baby like this. Yeah, they were like animals.
Well, that's
Yeah.
anyway.
Thank you very much. I'm just
Yeah.
following my little ones. The one girl that was from New Zealand, she's the one who told me that the hot girl was from New Zealand. Oh, that came from our country. She told us about a breast company, a catalog called Hot Milks. And she had to order, she said, I want to get a pretty nursing bra. Most of them are pretty ugly. It's not pretty they are, they're pretty ugly. But she said, but you can't find them in town, so I ordered them from this company. She ordered an L and an M and didn't need the M. She sent it back. But she used that L. I didn't even know. And this girl has like a 22 waistline. I mean, here and here. Yeah. Yeah. I did 2 babies for her. Yeah.
Back home.
Yeah, that's what that says. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my students was a G on both sides, and she had them cut down when she was through having babies. Yeah, because it can damage them. You have to be real careful. They'll say they're not going to take any glands, but you have to be real careful. It's better to wait.
Another thing with the latch is also to be sure when their lips are over your areola, it's for their lips to be flanged out like a fish. And you want to see the top part of your areola, but you almost don't want to see any of the bottom part. You want it to be like all in their mouth so that they have a good deep latch. And when you're imagining like the nipple going in their mouth, it's not just like the nipple's going straight in and down. It's going to be kind of going up to the roof of their mouth so that their tongue can press up against the roof of their mouth to get that milk to shoot back.
If they don't splay their lips like they're supposed to, you can kind of pull down on their chin and that'll make that one do that. Yeah. So you let them latch on and you just reach in there and just kind of pull down.
And if you
on
untuck the top lip and they screamed into us, that's for lip ties.
Yeah, or either top or bottom.
Yeah.
But we do check on it real good
Yeah.
for tongue and
That's
lip
the
ties.
problem with this.
And when we do the newborn exam after they're born. Yeah. And it's real easy. This lip ought to cover the nostrils. That's what we do to test us. You ought to be able to cover your lip over your nostrils. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned my husband has a horrible tongue tie. When he lifts his tongue up, it's got the heart shape, which I'm like, Zane, that is like such a bad
But he
one.
doesn't have a lisp.
No, but he sleeps horribly. So I have a dentist friend, and I texted him. I was like, "Hey, Derek, can you clip this?" I think you might.
This time's long.
But you got to. So the word clip is not. We like the laser because there are pediatricians who will clip it in their office and just use scissors
Watch it.
and do it too much. Yeah, and now you got a loose tongue.
So that happened to my dad. That's why he talks a lot. But no, his tongue was all the way attached almost to the end.
That's weird.
Yeah. You can tell when a baby's really got a tongue is that it'll be heart-shaped, or they'll make a little puff out of it.
It's not cute. It looks cute. It's not cute.
It hurts. It hurts bad.
Mhm.
I think that's all. Questions? Okay.
What
And,
about-
and we will be here. Yeah.
How much pumping should you really do then?
Once a woman has pumped for one baby, like I pumped for those premature babies, I never pumped again.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you never
You
had to
hate
pump
it.
with your kids. Okay.
It's
So
horrible.
did you have like a supply in the freezer at all, or were you just kind of like, it's fine?
You're not feeding the freezer. You're feeding the baby.
Right. But did you keep any like, cause like, so I was thinking even
Not,
for like,
not after that.
really?
Oh, I pumped so much for those premature babies, I just, no.
You want to throw it in the wall.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Should you ever have like an emergency supply or something?
Like if you were gonna get sick or something, yeah. But when you're nursing this baby, okay, if you try to pump, you're gonna say, oh, my milk must be gone because I can't pump anything out at all. Well, you're not in love with the pump.
Mhm.
You put this baby to the breast, those hormones, that milk just starts flowing. So if you really want to pump some, well, like when the mothers go back to work.
Yeah.
So you turn your head right. Okay. When you're pumping this side, you can, if you pump this side, you'll get 2 ounces.
Okay.
An ounce, 2 ounces, yeah. Where otherwise you will get none. Yeah. And there are all kinds of things to do if you have supply problems. There are fenugreek is a good herb and they make fenugreek cookies. Yeah, and fenugreek tea to help with supply. I have a product called goat's root. I make my daddy called nursing nini, so it's the Italian thing, it's chi-chis for the Hispanics and I learned the other one. But anyway, Daddy called it ninnies, and so I have a product called nini juice, and it's got herbs in it, fenugreek and stuff. But this goat's root literally is, they can't realize that it's good for breastfeeding because the goats who would graze where the root was had way more milk than the goats who didn't. And so they started using it for the pregnant women, and boy, my goodness, and for the nursing mothers. And they would make lots of milk. And I had my daughter-in-law's sister-in-law was one of my clients, and she went back to work. She took her baby to daycare at 4 weeks. She didn't have to go back to work till 6 weeks.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
She was like, bye.
Yeah. Awful.
See ya.
But at 2 months, 4 months, I don't remember how far along that baby was, she was taking 20 ounces a day, and the mother stopped producing that much and called me and said, you have something for it? I said, yeah, this goat's root is really, it's for a breastfeeding crisis. The nitty juice was for just upping your supply, but this was for when you really had a crisis. And the baby was taking like 20 ounces, and she was only producing 10. In 2 days of taking the goat's root, she started producing 20. It took 2 days, yeah. You can't take goat's root forever. It's not something that you would take all the time just to make sure you have, it's a little hard on your liver, so we use it for like a week at a time, and then don't use it until you have another breastfeeding crisis.
Well, and for the moms that are having to go to work, or school or whatever, and someone else is having to watch your baby, pace feeding is so important to be able to switch from bottle to breast so the baby doesn't prefer the bottle. Because with the mechanisms with a bottle, if the baby starts sucking, it's just going to keep flowing. They don't have to work on it like they do with the breast. And so they'll end up preferring the bottle. So there's videos on pace feeding, but one of the main things is when you first put the bottle in the mouth, you need to let them like suck at it a few sucks like they would have to with the breast, before you actually like lift it up and let milk flow. And then just like they would naturally when they nurse, where they suck a little bit and then stop, when they stop, pull the milk back so it's not just squirting back. And people will be like, oh, I don't know, can I do that? They get air, but they get in air when they're crying and when they're breathing, and it's not going to be any more than that would like affect them and make them upset. But the pace feeding is really important. If you're having to go to back, if you have to use a bottle for school or for work or whatever, and then don't let the pump discourage you, like she was saying, to like TikToks and everything else. All these women are showing how much milk they're making, and those are like exclusive pumpers who a lot of them have oversupply, and they're just pouring gallons of milk, a lot of milk, and that is not an indicator of how much your baby is getting when they're nursing. It's a totally different output based off their suction, and like she said, you don't love that baby, so it's not getting any oxytocin out like the baby is.
So one of the things that I mentioned earlier that I didn't go into was the supplemental nursing system, and that's these babies come back and they're 4 weeks old and they haven't gained anything, and it's okay, we got to get this baby fed. You got to do something, and she's been given it some formula. Well, the better thing to do than giving it a bottle at all, if you're available, then if you're gone, you can't do this. But they make this bottle that hangs around your neck or sits up. She's got some that sit up, that has a little tube coming out of it, and you take that to your breast, and the baby goes to the breast to nurse, and is getting some of this milk out of this bottle at the same time. So now it will still suckle at the breast. So it's stimulating your supply and getting more milk, so that some that you've pumped some other time, or donor milk, or whatever you have to do. Yeah.
And not getting used to that bottle too.
Yeah, and it works real good. We've seen some real good successes with it. It's what a friend of mine nursed an adopted baby. Yeah, and that's the one that nursed till it was 5. She was so proud to be making milk for that baby. So
No, I don't blame her.
That's really
yeah, I know. Yeah, but so we make milk for our babies, and so just the suckling makes more for them. So that's real good. But she figured out that her milk supply was going up because she never had to use any more formula than what she did from the beginning. So in the beginning, the baby was nursing but not getting a whole lot, and she was putting, say 2 ounces in the SNS. She was using SNS. Well, then as the baby grew, she was still just putting 2 ounces in the SNS, so she had to be making more milk.
Oh, and that's another thing I was gonna say is if you do end up having to go back to school or work or whatever, and send the baby to a family member or daycare or whatever to have milk, one of the reasons that pace feeding is so important and why it helps your supply is a breastfed baby should never eat more than 4 ounces in one feeding, because your milk composition changes so much based off their growth and where they're at and what age they are, that if they're being properly pace fed and not just like chugging a whole bottle in 2 minutes at a daycare with the bottle baby laying flat and the bottle straight up and down, then they will eat it slow enough, and the baby, the makeup of the nutrition in that milk will fill them up, and so they shouldn't ever go above 4 ounces in a feed.
And having worked at a daycare, if you have a good daycare you like, a lot of daycare workers in the baby room are very open to learning about pace feeding and how to hold the baby correctly. Because I worked in one for 4 years, and that's how I learned about pace feeding.
But that's
and using a really tiny nipple. Like don't go up, don't go over up to size 1 or 2. Stay with preemie even. Make
But
it work.
that's what a lot of moms will end up saying. I'm not making enough because I'm sending this much to daycare and they've used it all and she's starving. I'm like, how much are she eating? And they're just overfeeding them.
Stretching their stomach.
And that's why they throw up more at daycare.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at daycare they will want to stay.
And I didn't even say that on the postpartum instruction sheet, it's going to say to you that you don't want to consume any dairy or caffeine the first month of the baby's life. Those are the 2 most allergy foods and cause colic. And you don't want no stinking colic. That's where from like 7 to 8 at night, they're just screaming and are inconsolable. They don't want to nurse, they don't want to hold them, doesn't do any good. Taking them outside sometimes helps. That's one of the
Soaking
best
their
things.
feet in water.
Yeah, but my son is still allergic to dairy, and anytime I would consume dairy, he would just throw up. Blah. And the number one is actually caffeine. Caffeine, when mama consumes caffeine, the baby gets colic.
Any source of caffeine, so like coffee, sodas, and
Chocolate,
all
Green
of them.
tea.
green tea has
Really?
29 milligrams. Coffee has 98 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Right.
Regular black tea has like 87. Green tea has like 29.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it still has some. Yeah, so I like to say that I'm decaffeinated, but I drink green tea.
Dairy or caffeine.
Dairy or caffeine are the two big offenders, and at a month you try and give them try to consume a little dairy, and if they get real gassy or fussy, and then you go back off of it. My daughter finally at 2 months was able to consume dairy. She tried it at 4 weeks and at 6 weeks, and my daughter has to have her sleep, and that baby crying and being gassy in the night was not good. So she went back on it quick. Yeah. And at 2 months their gut changes anyway, and so they can you can consume some things that you weren't able to before. Yeah. But notice, because the allergy list goes from caffeine and dairy to like wheat, as you know, so lots of people have wheat allergies, but to the cruciferous vegetables, which are broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and kale. I mean, all of our best foods, but it's high on the allergy list for babies, on the gassy list for
Well, you
babies.
don't find that anywhere.
What?
And online forums and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. But
Broccoli is a big one.
yeah, all of them. They're all have the same chemicals in them. But what doesn't cause a problem is like beans. Everybody, beans make us gassy, so for sure, that's probably going to be a problem for the baby. It doesn't cause a problem for babies at all. You can have all the Mexican food you want. Yeah.
Guacamole.
Guacamole. Yeah. I love that guacamole. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, did you hear? She said no queso. The dairy.
I can have all the Mexican I want except for
You can
queso.
have all the salsa you want.
Which is the point you go to Mexico.
Correct.
With
So that
queso
means
on the
no
rice.
Greek yogurt, no cottage cheese, no cucumber, no dairy at all, no cheese.
I mix my queso and salsa together.
We have almond milk.
Yeah, my husband thinks I'm gross, but it's
We
okay.
have
It's nut juice.
goat's
It's not milk.
cheese. Now, of those people who are allergic to cow's milk, 60% will be allergic to goat's milk. So you have to be careful with that too. So yeah, but it should be okay. I always tell them, yeah, just try some goat's milk.
Yeah. 60% of goat milk?
All right, go home. Oh no, we have our test. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? We can't skip our test. You've been practicing, right? One more relaxation class.